Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. So I've had a good week to spend on the PS5. So in this video, I'm going to share my thoughts and opinions and if Sony did deliver a true next-gen console. There's a lot to cover, so let's not waste any time and let's jump right in. If you want to see the unboxing and my first impressions on the PS5, you can go right up above and click on that, or you can find the link in the description below. Also, if you're new here, thanks for clicking on this video. I hope you consider subscribing and helping me through this journey. So first and foremost, let's knock out this mega list of specs on the PS5. The dimensions are 390mm by 104mm by 260mm. It weighs 4.5 kilograms. The CPU is an AMD Zen 2 with 8 cores, 16 threads at 3.5 GHz. The GPU is a custom AMD Radeon RDNA 2, which can reach up to 2.23 GHz, which equates to 10.3 teraflops. There's 16 gigabytes of DDR6 RAM. On the storage, there's a 825 gigabyte NVMe SSD, and the usable storage is 667 gigabytes. The video output it supports is 720p, 1080p, 4K at 120 Hz, and eventually 8K. It supports HDMI 2.1, and of course it supports HDR. You have 3D audio technology, which is called Tempest, and it also supports surround sound. There is an expandable NVMe SSD slot, but you have to take off the PS5 cover to access it, and it's not currently available at launch. It's completely disabled, and it's going to be available on a future update from Sony. Sony will also be releasing a whitelist of compatible SSDs, so you'll need to check that list before purchasing an SSD drive. The PS5 supports Bluetooth 5.1 and Wi-Fi 6. There's two super speed USB-A ports on the back, which is 3.2. On the front, you have a USB-C port and a standard USB-A port, and a LAN port on the back. So the PS5 has two different versions available. You can get the disc edition, which has that Blu-ray disc drive for $4.99, or the digital only edition, which is $3.99. The design of the PS5 looks something like a UFO or spaceship. It looks very different from any other console and completely ditches the traditional box style. It's a beast inside and out, and you're going to need to clear some shelf space if you want to lay it down. Here's a size comparison next to the OG PS4, which I've had for many years and it still works like a champ. The PS5 just towers over the PS4. Now, the PS5 is lightning fast. You can boot it up within 15 seconds, and I can load up Spider-Man within 20 seconds. Most games can load up within a minute or so, but the older PS4 games seem to take a little bit longer because they probably haven't been optimized to run on the PS5. The PS5 has two large 120mm fans on both sides for a push-pull cooling system, which sound fairly quiet. Now, during Sony's Teardown, they revealed plenty of heat sinks on the motherboard and used liquid metal as a thermal interface for the AMD CPU, which is going to help keep everything cool for those long gaming sessions. I tried to measure the temperature of the PS5 while I was playing, just mainly on the front of the body and then in the open gaps using an IR gun, and it seemed after an hour or so I was hitting around 100 Fahrenheit, which means it's definitely much hotter on the motherboard, but of course this is not an accurate reading, this is just more or less for a reference. Wi-Fi speeds have been vastly improved. Now I can get anywhere from 160 to 200 megabits per second while connected to my Wi-Fi 6 5G signal. I was able to download Days Gone and Horizon Zero Dawn within about 20 minutes or so, which is a huge improvement from the PS4, but Call of Duty did take quite a while, almost 2 hours to download because it's such a massive file. The new DualSense controller weighs about 580 grams. The battery is 1,560 milliamps. There's a built-in microphone and speaker. It has a touchpad, light bar. There's a stereo headset jack and a USB-C port. The new DualSense controller is slightly bigger and heavier than the DualShock 4. That's because it has a ton of haptics and a larger battery. So the DualSense controller has the same button layout that you're used to on the DualShock 4, but there's one minor change here. There's a mute button to mute the microphone, and then the PS button is right above that. Also on the analog sticks, there's a bit more grip here around the rubber. The adaptive triggers are slightly more angled towards the back back of the controller. I feel like the DualSense controller fits much more comfortably in the hands. So I fully charged the DualSense controller as soon as I opened the box, and since then me and my son have been playing almost 2 to 3 hours every day, and we didn't have to charge it up until just the 6th or 7th day. But I did lower some of the controller settings. I lowered the speaker and lightning brightness of the controller. I've been playing the Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PS5, and I think it plays so damn well that you don't even realize you're playing a game after a while. It feels like you're actually watching a Marvel Spider-Man movie. Everything plays so smoothly. The graphics are just stunning. The action is fluid and fast. It just feels really good when you're playing the game and doing all different types of move and swinging through the city. It definitely feels like next generation. In the Spider-Man game, you can switch between 2 visual modes, fidelity mode and performance mode. The fidelity mode has all the advanced visuals. You're gonna get the ray tracing, lighting, better shadows, and just an overall better picture. But it's only going to be able to output that at 4K 30 frames per second. The performance mode is going to turn off all those advanced features, but you're going to be able to play at 4K 60 frames per second very smoothly without any hiccups. Now, depending on what you like, if you want the eye candy, you're definitely going to leave it on the fidelity mode, but if you're used to playing games at 60 frames per second, you're probably going to like the performance mode better. I prefer the fidelity mode to get that extra eye candy, and I noticed in Spider-Man, while it's snowing, you can see the snowflakes hitting Miles Morales and then slowly start to build up and melt off. It just makes it look so much more realistic. The PS5 is backwards compatible and you can play over 4,000 PS4 titles. You can even play PS3 and PS2 titles via PlayStation Now. The PS4 games I played looked no different and played just as smoothly on the PS4. I didn't notice anything visually different, but the load times are significantly faster. So the PS5 comes preloaded with this fun little platformer game called Astro's Playroom, and it introduces you to the PS5's features and what the DualSense controller is capable of. So this is really cool. This is like one of those arcade prize machines. And as you pull the lever, you get a prize and you have to catch it. So you have this like robot arm. It's like super easy. Like I could literally do this 1,000 times and there's no effort. But watch when I actually catch something. So right now, it won't go any more than this. So I have to pull it even harder. There you go. It feels so cool in your hands and it feels very different than anything you experienced before. I can't wait to see what else they come up with in future games. Now with the 3D audio, Sony states you'll be able to get the 3D audio effect by plugging into the stereo port of the controller using a gaming headset. Now I only tested it on Spider-Man and it overall sounded pretty great. But in my opinion, it didn't really blow my mind. I think you might notice it more in other types of genres like a horror or stealth game. The PS5's UI is very reminiscent of the PS4. Especially in the settings, it's almost identical. The home screen is still set up with tiles to scroll through, but it does not need to load anything to access those apps. You can open the PS Store within seconds and don't need to wait a whole minute until it loads. You can also set up all your favorite streaming apps and it's separated into its own category called media. Now when you press the PS button, there's a little pop-up tray that gives you quick access to many different features. Easily switch between games, notifications, game base, which is pretty much a friends list, downloads, music where you can link your Spotify account, volume and mic control, and then of course power options. Sony didn't change much of their formula when it comes to the UI. It still has that same PS4 look and feel, but it's vastly improved in performance and easeability, and you can access everything quickly and easily right at your fingertips. The PS5 has some nice relaxing ambient music while you're on the home screen, so I want you to listen and let me know if you agree. The DualSense controller for me is one of the coolest features. While you're playing, you get to feel all these little tiny vibrations all throughout your fingertips, and it just feels like there's 100 little baby motors within the controller, and you can feel everything happening while you're playing the game. And the adaptive triggers where you feel that force feedback and that actual tension of really pulling it down. It feels like you're really performing the action in the game. All these little details and vibrations in your hand and having to pull the controller just a little bit harder just brings you more into the immersion and experience of the game. So just imagine a shooting game where the guns have ability to lock up and you're shooting that gun and all of a sudden the trigger just completely freezes and you can't do anything and you're like, oh, I think that's going to be really cool and I can't wait. Hats off to Sony for getting creative and trying something new with their controllers. Now I want to talk about some of the things I was not too happy about. So my PS5 froze and crashed one time while playing Spider-Man Miles Morales, and I have already ran all the latest patches and updates available on the system and on the game. And I know this has been reported by a lot of other users on Reddit. Sony and the developers have acknowledged that they're releasing patches and they are aware of the issue, but it's a little scary when you have a new console or any new hardware and it freezes and crashes on you. So hopefully it was just that one time. Now on the DualSense controller, I found myself pushing the mute button. A lot of the times it's right below the PS button, and I'm so used to the DualShock 4 and then pressing that PS button right on your thumb. It was always right there. It was just very easy to press. So maybe it's just something I have to get used to. But personally, I wish Sony would have put the mute button above the PS button, because I feel like the PS button would be used more oftenly. Also, if you are going to be connecting the PS5 to a Wi-Fi 6 signal, there's really no clear indication when you're connecting to that Wi-Fi 6 signal. Typically, when you do connect to a Wi-Fi 6, you do see a little 6 icon above the Wi-Fi. There's really no way to tell or confirm on the PS5, I guess if you do some speed tests. But other than that, it doesn't have that little 6 icon above the Wi-Fi signal to really let you know that you are actually connected to a Wi-Fi 6 signal. Another small issue I ran into, when you're recording gameplay at 4K, it defaults to a file format called WebM. It's supposed to be the most efficient way to record the gameplay, but unfortunately if you're going to be exporting the gameplay out, you're going to have some issues importing it into a video editing software. You're most likely going to have to convert it to another type of video format. So far, Sony does deliver a next-gen console with the hardware to keep up with technology for years to come. For $500, you can get an incredibly fast 4K and 8K capable gaming console, which can outperform most mid-range gaming PCs. A GPU alone that can handle 4K at 60 frames per second will cost you over $400, and that's if you can find one. Now Sony just needs to deliver on the software updates and those next-gen games in the coming months. I'm really happy and excited with the PS5. I'm really enjoying playing Spider-Man Miles Morales, and this is just the beginning. Developers are going to keep innovating and optimizing the hardware and software, and they're going to be delivering some really awesome games in the next coming years. So I hope you guys are ready for it, because I am. Anyway, that's all I got for you on the PS5. Don't forget to smash that like button. Let me know in the comments what you're most excited about in next-gen gaming. I'm out, and I'll see you next time.